Hello and welcome back to the DeCesare Group Podcast. I'm your host, Jim DeCesare, and I'm happy you're here. Hey, if you enjoy listening to the podcast, please tell your friends. We'd love to have you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you'll be notified every other Monday when a new episode drops, like today. The DeCesare Group Podcast is a companion to our weekly newsletter, Soki Economic Development and Business News, which you can subscribe to on our website, the DeCesare Group Podcast. I'm excited to bring you this week's conversation with Robert Evans. Robert and his wife, Stacy, are the proud owners of Fleet Feet here in Bowling Green. With a strong background in small business ownership, Robert brings a wealth of experience and leadership to their ventures. A veteran of both the United States Navy and the Tennessee Air National Guard, his dedication is evident in his work and his community involvement. Robert and Stacy have 2 children, and outside of business, Robert enjoys spending time with his family and friends and pursuing hobbies like active sports, hiking, and hunting. Here's my conversation with Robert Evans. Hey, Robert, thanks for being on the DeCesare Group Podcast.
Awesome. Glad to be here, Jim. Thank you, sir.
And thank you for your service. Happy Veterans Day.
Yep. Thank you.
So this episode is coming out on Veterans Day. Some people may be listening to it afterwards, but it's always great to have a veteran on the podcast. And a lot of times we say thank you for your service, but we also want to thank your family for your service as well, because they're a big part of that as well.
I appreciate it.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about your time. You were in the Navy, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So tell us about that.
I joined at 17. I was a senior in high school, and the Gulf War just broke out in 91. So I always knew I wanted to serve at some point, at some capacity. So the Gulf War broke out, went out to recruiter here in Bowling Green, and actually I was going to go Marine Corps first, and I missed a cutoff date to go boot camp. So put me on delay for about 6 months, and in that time, a Navy recruiter called me up and taught me out of the Marine Corps, which is probably a smart thing, and goes, "Hey, Evans, you got some great ASVAB scores. How about come over to the Navy and do some Navy intel?" I said, "Man, that sounds cool."
That does sound cool. So you were a cryptologic technician. I can kind of guess what that is, but why don't you tell us?
Yeah. So cryptotech is what we were in the Navy. So what we did, my job was communication intercept. That's what we did. So the school is a long school. It's about 6 months. At the time, it was at Fort Devens, Massachusetts. It was the Army Intel School. So the Army Intel School is a joint school for Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. So we all went to the same school, and our job was 8 hours a day, 2 hours nights, so every single day. It was tough. It was long. Graduated that in about 6 months.
Okay.
And got deployed to Naval Security Group Detachment in Yokosuka, Japan. I was there with the 7th Fleet, the Navy 7th Fleet there.
Is that the one that's out of San Diego?
Yokosuka, so Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was a direct support augmentee. So what that meant was as ships needed crypto support, they would reach out to us.
Okay.
So we would go out and advise, assist, support the combat vessels. So I did serve on several different platforms, destroyer, got a missile cruiser, aircraft carrier, a amphib, and another cruiser as well. So
wow.
It was interesting.
How long were you in a full-time in the Navy?
So I did 3 years in Navy, active duty. And my last year there, we Desert Storm converted to Southern Watch. So we deployed with the Mobile Bay to the Persian Gulf, and our job there was to monitor the no-fly zones north and south parallels. So that's what we did. So basically, we would just try to intercept any kind of communications north and south and make sure Saddam wasn't moving up or down. So that was really interesting. I had a great time in Navy. I loved it. A lot of good camaraderie there, and definitely learned a lot. So
that's cool. So were you stationed anywhere else other than any cool places besides Japan? And
well, the good thing about being out at sea,
you weren't in Hawaii, were you?
No, never made Hawaii. So good thing about being out at sea, when you're on a ship, you get to go out and see some good protocols. So definitely made Singapore 3 times, Hong Kong, Okinawa multiple times. Made a trip to Pakistan, which wasn't the most favorable place to be. And Karachi did that, and Abu Dhabi, Jebel Ali, Dubai. Visit those places in the Gulf. Also, we did cross the equator and go down to Perth, Australia, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
neat.
Yeah,
well, that's all right. Well, again, we wouldn't be here without people like you. I say that often. And then you spent some time in Tennessee National Guard. Are you still in the Guard?
Yeah. So I got out to Navy. I was 20 years old. Got out, worked with my family, and I got back in the Navy. Had a 17-year break in service. I was 37 years old, and I was I missed it. I missed the Navy. I wanted to get back in, and I got back in 2010, and I was just reserves for the Navy.
Okay.
And I did 10 years with the reserves. Most of that, the last 4 years of that was with the CB Battalion. So I'm not familiar with Navy CBs. They're the Mobile Construction Battalion.
Okay.
So I worked with those guys, great guys, out of Port Hueneme, California. And I was doing that, and I had a good friend of mine he was a commanding officer at the 118th Air Wing, Bowling Green native, General Todd Wiles. And I made a call, and he said, come over and talk to us. So I made a transition to the Tennessee Air Guard in 2021. 2021. And I was there for about 6 months as a guard member, and they pulled me on to active duty orders, active guard reserve orders. And I did about 3.5 years with the Tennessee Air Guard. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So you've had a pretty good military career, both with the Navy and the National Guard. And so you've
it's
done,
different.
You've done quite a few things.
Yeah, it's different going from active duty Navy or going from Navy to the Air Guard is completely different. What is going from Navy to the Air Force? So Air Force is a little bit laid back a little bit.
Yeah. So as a crypto tech, are you good at like those escape rooms?
No, this is back then when we did crypto tech. It was a lot of just communication intercept. What we did, yeah, it was cool. But the crypto tech now is completely different. When I got back in 16 years later, what I learned back then in the early 90s was already obsolete.
Yeah.
A lot of it was Morse code intercept. So back then, a lot of third world countries still use Morse code. And now it's completely changed. So I would have to go back to crypto school again, and at the time it was longer, and it wasn't in the cards for me at that time to come when I came back. But yeah, it was a cool job. I enjoyed it and got to see a lot of cool stuff with it.
So when you went to crypto school the first time, did y'all ever go back and look at the history of where that role came from in the military? Because I've read some books and studied a little bit about World War II and things like that, and it's really interesting. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, you go back to World War II, look at the crypto text back then and what they did, and the communication they intercepted was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
One of the big notables was they did intercept the communication about one of the Japanese admirals flying, and they were able to locate him and actually shot him down. I can't remember his name; it's not coming to me, but it was a popular Japanese admiral. They intercepted his communication. Found where he was located, and able to make that intercept with them. So it's pretty cool stuff we do in the crypto tech. A lot of it's intercept and narrowing down position, stuff like that, and trying to find where people are at.
That's awesome, man. So besides your military career, you've really spent most of your career in business. Talk about your family business a little bit, because I didn't really put it together until we were talking before the show. But you come from a family business.
That's correct. So my dad was Chuck Evans. So we had Chuck Evans Liquors, liquor stores here. My dad started the stores, in the early 80s, late 70s, I think. And when I came back from the Navy the first time, I was right at 21, and my father had a store on Louisville Road. So I worked with him there. And in the course of the next 16 years, stayed with him, and we built 3 more stores and just hopped around to each location and stood them all up. And eventually, we did sell them in 2010, but it was a great time. I enjoyed it, learned a lot. Just watching my dad work next to him. You learn a lot from him.
Sure.
Very humble man, and it was a great learning experience, and I loved every day of it.
So, do you have any leads on any Pappy or anything like that?
Oh my goodness! I always tell a funny story, because when Pappy first got released in, I don't know what year it was, 96, 97. The sales rep at the time brought us a 6-pack of Pappy, the first batch that came out, Pappy Van Winkle 20-year-old. Yeah. And he goes, hey guys, if you guys want some, I got this Pappy Van Winkle's 20, and if you want it, I said, yeah, sure. So we bought a 6-pack case. The cost was $19, and we had on the shelf for $29.99.
Yeah.
We had Pappy Van Winkle, the first run, $29.99 on the shelf, and it sat there for 6 months. Yeah. Nobody would buy it.
So it's 20 and a half years old.
That's crazy, because when it first came out, if you had that bottle a day, the first run, it'd probably be no telling what the bottle would cost. Still sealed.
I mean, tens of thousands.
Oh my gosh.
Easy.
And it's crazy that we had that and nobody knew what it was until it got rated and it went up.
Yeah.
Then immediately it kept going up and up and up, and it get harder and harder to get. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's interesting. $29.99 at Chuck Evans Liquors. You could have bought a bottle of Pappy.
The very first run we had on the shelf, but back then
it was, of the 20.
Yeah, 20-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
So talk about some of the other things you've been doing since you left Chuck. When Chuck Evans sold in 2010. Yeah. What happened after that?
Wow, it was a big change. It's like now it's like, well, I thought that would be my career, rest of my life. And when we sold the business, like, okay, well, now what? So I was 36 at the time, and that's one of the reasons I got back in the Navy. I wanted to get back in the Navy and do reserves, and finished my bachelor's at Western. I was close, never finished it. Went in and finished that.
Nice.
Got that finished and did a different job. I went for sure. I tried the government job route first with the Navy, and it didn't work out, and just did a little job with Everett Jones as a financial advisor. Worked a little bit downtown with Lloyd Williford downtown for a little bit, and moved up north with my wife. She got a job in New York in the city, so I transferred up north, and it was hard being a Kentucky boy trying to go to Jersey side and try to get their money. So it didn't work that well with Everett Jones up there. So it didn't last that long. So we stayed there for about a year and a half in New York, and we moved back to Nashville. But yeah, I did different jobs. Department of Commerce. I actually was a part of the 2020 census. I got hired on a 2-year contract with that, and that was very interesting. It was in Cool Springs, and we had they set up an office for us. I was the admin officer, and we had to hire over 4,000 enumerators to go out for the census for Middle Tennessee.
Wow.
And it was a 2-year contract. Then COVID broke out, so it made it really interesting. And after that, basically when that ended, the switch to the Guard just came right in place. I went right to the Guard, and they pulled me on active duty orders and just worked with them. Yeah.
That's cool. So you were part of. I didn't realize the census was part of the Department of Commerce. I don't know that I ever knew that.
Yep. So Census Bureau. So basically, they do have a small office, but it's not really manned a lot until the next census comes up, like 2030. They'll start. 2 years before, they'll start hiring other people again and doing all that. But it was a pretty big project. It was cool to be part of that. But I enjoyed it. It was a good time too.
I know the DeCesare Group as a business, we are participating in like a 3 or 4 year census review.
Yeah,
I get because they not only do you do census of people, there's a business census too.
Yeah,
and I don't know that anybody realizes that, but they want to know how many employees you have, and keep track just so they can understand, where things are going.
That's true. Yeah.
So anyhow, now you've been back in Bowling Green for what, a couple years?
No, actually,
not even a year.
Not even a year. So actually, I still live in Nashville. So,
okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, but you came back to Bowling Green because you opened a new business.
That's correct. I've been wanting to come back to Bowling Green for the last 5 years. I just couldn't find the right route, and I know the liquor business is so many stores now. There's so much competition in Bowling Green, so I knew that wasn't in the plans, and I couldn't find the franchise I was looking for, and I just fell in love with one when I was in Nashville. Yeah.
So you got yourself a Fleet Feet.
Yeah, Fleet Feet. So it's
So tell us about Fleet Feet. Who are they, and what's their story?
So Fleet Feet's been around for about 50 years.
Okay.
And so mid-'70s, it was founded by 2 female collegiate runners in Sacramento, California, and they opened up a small running store. Back then, it was strictly a running store for runners, and it has developed or diversified a lot over the years. So a lot of people still think we're just a running store, but we do more than that. We do more for pain relief, for people on your feet, for nurses, for anybody who's on construction. If you're on your feet all day, we can help you and we can assist you with that.
I got you.
So what we do what's called a Fit ID process. So if you come in, we talk to you, find out what issues you're having with your feet, if it's plantar fasciitis, if it's neuropathy, or if you're just running or you're training for your first 5K. And we'll do a Fit ID scan, which is a 360 scan of your foot, and it basically shows us your height, your width, your arch height, and everything else about your foot that we can use to pick the perfect shoe for you. And we also have,
because no 2 feet are the same.
No, they're not. It's funny because everybody's like, "Oh my God, my feet are not the same, right? Or not the same." Yeah. So everybody's off by a little bit.
Yeah.
And we do the pressure map, which you walk on, and basically shows us hot spots on your feet. And also if you have flexible arches, which if you do have flexible arches, you tend to pronate. So we have shoes are designed to help you correct that. So So basically, probably 20% of our customers are actual runners. A lot of them are just, like I said, just people want good shoes. People have feet problems, like I said. So,
well, if your feet hurt, everything hurts.
Yeah, exactly. So people come in, my back hurts, my knee hurts. All starts with your feet.
Yeah.
Let's start your feet first. Let's get you a good shoe, then we'll go up. Then we'll work on the next things.
So how's it been going? How long have you been open?
We opened up June 6th, so it's probably about 5 months right now.
Okay.
So we started. The process takes a while. The franchise process takes about 9 months.
Okay.
And we got approved in November of last year. And when we got approved, we already had a site behind Rafferty's already located. So immediately start the process building out with that. And opened up June 6th, did some training with Fleet Feet down their headquarters in Carborough, and great people.
Where's that?
Yeah, it's in Chapel Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, that's their headquarters, and they're all awesome. I mean, it's a great group of people. You meet all of them, meet the CEO, and they're all, it's the attitude, the positivity, everything is just so great around them. So I love that with everybody there. And we started, we did the build out about a couple months, and June 6th was open date. And we're still trying to get out there a little more. We try to get out to all the local races.
Yeah, I've seen you at I think every race.
Yeah, we got the half marathon coming up, full marathon coming up this week.
And a 6K. Don't forget 6K.
Yep, that's for sure. And we're just trying to get our name out there. A lot of people don't know we're here yet. They'll come in, hey, I know, oh my God, I didn't know. I just saw your sign, didn't know you're here yet. So we're excited. We're excited to be going. This is 5 months, and it's doing well.
Okay.
And man, I'm excited for what else we can do in the future for Bowling Green.
And Bowling Green's got such a great running history. We'll have Carl Kell on here in a few weeks, who was a legendary organizer of races here. He started the 10K and a few other races, the Bowling Green Running Club, for example. But one of the things that the running community has always done, and you're jumping right in, is being supportive of other events and activities that are going on. And like I said, I've seen you at several events already. I've actually been in the store, got a pair of shoes, so I'm running on a pair of Fleet Feet shoes now.
Awesome.
And I'll be coming back again soon. But talk about the ways that Fleet Feet is giving back.
Yeah, so right now, we're 6 months in. We have partnered with the Bowling Green Run Club, the BG Club, the 26-2 with them guys, the one in Mammoth Cave, the White Squirrel Striders. There's a lot of groups that we're partnering with right now. Actually,
Strider.
There we go. And also with Graves River Clinic, we're partnering with them. And
because they're doing their walking program.
The walk program. We're met with their HR. We're trying to work with them a little more on some sort of other things. There's so many opportunities out in Bowling Green that we haven't tapped into yet.
Yeah.
We're so new. We're just trying to figure out, okay, what's next? What's going on here? How can we get involved? How can we get back here? Tonight we got the trick or treat hot rods, Halloween. There's so many things I know that it's on our plate to do. Yeah, and we're slowly getting them in, something to get in there.
Well, and I want to a shameless plug here, the Jingle Bell Run that we're doing on November 23rd. You've been gracious enough to let us do packet pickup there on Friday, November 22nd. So come on out. You can get your packet. You can sign up for the race, and you can buy some new shoes.
Get some shoes while you're there. Yeah, we got that.
And one of the things I thought was really cool is of course my neighbor Jason is working there with you some. You do the scan thingy, which is really cool to see my foot, and most people don't want to see my feet, but seeing that, but then knowing that having a guy that I know, Jason, but he hooked me up with some insoles.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna be upfront. I don't use them in my running shoes. I use them in my hiking shoes, and they make a world of difference for me. So it's just those little things that you're doing there.
And socks. A lot of people don't think about socks.
Oh socks are important.
Yeah, very important. Like we carry features and belegas, low compression, no blisters. We just recommend no cotton. No cotton's tough on your feet, especially if you're on your feet all day. If you're running, it bunches up, causes blisters. So inserts are great, because a lot of shoes don't accommodate for arch support, so that's where inserts come in handy. And put them in, it's like night and day on some shoes.
Well, I just used my supports to traverse the Grand Canyon. So
awesome.
and it couldn't have gone better. But I think one of the cool things you do is some of the people you have working there, that's really not their full-time job.
Yeah.
So is that a Fleet Feet model, or is that a Robert Evans model to kind of get some people that Tony Rhodes, who's been on the show,
Yep.
been on the podcast, Jason, that's really not their full-time gig.
No, that's not a full time. So basically, Tony was our first employee. We went on Tony Rhodes' show back in February, and he said, "Come on here, tell us about Fleet Feet, up and coming." And Tony's great. He's all energy.
Yeah,
love him. And he asked if we're hiring part time. Is it perfect? Come on board. So
right.
he's on board with us about 2 days a week, and he does a great job. I love Tony. Jason, same way. It's not his. He loves running. Jason's president of the Bowling Green Run Club.
Right.
And he works about 3 days a week with us in the mornings. And the other stuff I have, they're like Jason and Tony. They have other things going on. Couple WKU students as well. But no, they're back in school, so their time is limited now, so they're back in school. But yeah, very diverse group of people we have here working with us.
And you're flexible with their scheduling too, kind of what works for them.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, what works for you guys? No, and because I want to make it best for both, for you guys as well. So
yeah.
I'm there every day. So I'm right now. I'm still open and closing. So it's long days.
Well, and that's part of being a small business owner. I mean, really the rubber meets the ground with you, just like with us at the DeCesare Group. And there's a lot of challenges that come with being a business owner. And talk about some of those challenges that you have to deal with, because we've all been there, and so we can commiserate together.
Yeah. One of the biggest challenges right now is the commute. So I'm still going back and forth. So
we need to get you back home.
Exactly. I know we're trying to get our house sold in Old Hickory and get a house up here. To me, that's the hard part. Just getting back in the morning's not bad. It's just in the afternoons, you get off work, you're tired, and you got another hour commute back home, and especially being away from your family as well. My wife, I have two young kids, 4 and 7, so they're excited to see me when I get home. So my time with them has been cut back a little bit, but as I tell my wife, we make decisions today to better our future. So work hard today for a better future and going forward. So it'll pay off, and in time we'll have good managers in place, and I'll be able to take some time to spend time with my family or spend time more in the community as well. That's one thing I want to do more, and it's hard because if I'm there every day, it's hard for me to get out. So in time, I'll have that good employee place where I can get out a little bit and start doing more things in the community. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, and but I love it. I mean, from what I was doing. So with the air guard sitting at a desk, spreadsheets, Zoom meetings. I mean, it's like night and day. Yeah. Even a Fleet Feet owner I talked to, she said it'd be the best job it'd be the best thing you ever did. She said, don't hesitate with it, because she's the one that got me to open Fleet Feet. She owned the Fleet Feet Nashville in Murfreesboro, and she came to our roll call at the air guard, and she came in as a guest speaker and said, "Hey, I'm Krista. I'm from Fleet Feet. And here's what we do, because we wear combat boots every day. We have inserts for your combat boots to ease your feet, ease your pain." So immediately after hearing her, I called her the next day, and I said, "How do I do this? Let's go." So me and my wife went to her store, and she was busy. She was swamped on Saturday, and she said, "Don't hesitate." She said, "Do it." I said, "You'll be the best thing you ever did." So
I've been in a couple Fleet Feet. How many are across the nation? Do you know?
I believe there's 240 right now.
Are the original founders still there?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's changed a little bit since then, but they're still around.
Yeah.
But they have corporate stores and they have franchisee-owned stores. So for Kentucky, there's only 2 franchisee-owned. It's Bowling Green and Lexington. Okay. And there's 2 in Louisville, which are corporate-owned stores. Okay.
And then I think there's one in Clarksville, maybe.
Oh yeah, there's like 12 in Tennessee. There's like 6 in the Nashville area.
Wow.
Franklin, Cool Springs, Mount Juliet, Hendersonville, those areas.
So do you know with COVID, I mean, really a lot more people started getting outside and doing more running and walking and stuff. I know you weren't in Fleet Feet then, but did they have any statistics on, what kind of growth they're seeing in this market, in the running shoe market, what you do? Yeah.
So I went around during COVID time, but talking to some owners, they said there was a little bit, but not much as far as downturn in sales. And they just kept other things going. Yeah. And because a lot of Fleet Feets have local runs from their store, which we haven't set up yet. So they did keep that on some of those down. They were still doing that. But for Bowling Green was actually been on Fleet Feet's market for a long time. Okay. When I reached out to corporate, and they said, "Yes, please go to Bowling Green. We want it's because it's been underserved for a good running store." So no, man, I'm not. I mean, there's other good running stores here.
Yeah.
But they were excited.
There's room for more.
Yeah, there's room for more. But yeah, they were excited that somebody actually reached out about Bowling Green because they said, yeah, it's been on our little places to go for a while. So they were all about it. They said that's just a growing market for it.
That's fantastic, man. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on opening the store and getting it off the ground. Maybe you'll get some sleep in a couple years.
Oh my goodness, I know.
Get you back to Bowling Green.
So
we can hook you up with a realtor and find you a good place to stay. And
I'm ready to get back. So I think we're going to wait and put our house back on the market, and after election, probably in February.
Yeah.
And my mom still lives here, so I do stay with her.
Okay.
So yeah, she's in Smiths Grove, so I do stay with her about 2 nights a week.
And get some food too.
Yeah, get some good home. Yeah, get my laundry done.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up here. So a couple things. First of all, what kind of shoes do you wear when you run?
Oh man, so actually I'm wearing a pair of Diodora today. So I like Diodora. It's an Italian shoe. They've been around for about 50 years, known for soccer. And they got into running business a while back, and their shoes are awesome. You can't buy them anywhere in Bowling Green but Fleet Feet.
Okay.
But you got to have the right foot.
Yeah.
So it's because they're cut a little different. I love it. I love Diodora. I run in Diodora. I run in Saucony Endorphins. I love those. Brooks as well. There's so many good shoes out there.
Yeah.
And I alternate a lot. So I typically don't use one. I use different shoes for race day.
Okay, so are you gonna I know the Bowling Green half and stuff that by the time this airs has already happened. You're gonna do the half.
Well, I thought I signed up for it, but I guess I didn't yet. So I signed up 3 of my employees, and I was going to the list this morning to make sure we're all good to go, and my name wasn't on there. So now I may have an out now, so I don't know yet. So
yeah.
I think I probably will do it.
The Jingle Bell Run will be fun. You
Yeah.
can walk it if you want. So are you an avid runner?
I am now.
Yeah,
well, in the Air Guard, we did have a track out there, and we were giving 1 hour a day, which is nice. Your first hour, your last hour is your PT.
Okay.
So I would do my last hour a day. I would go to the track and I would run.
Nice.
Not a lot, like maybe 2 miles, just to move a little bit. But yeah, since being back at being with Fleet Feet, definitely has increased my run more now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, now going back to your liquor store days, what's your favorite bourbon?
Man,
I mean, if you were just
pick one,
and let's not go with like Pappy or one of
gotcha.
them. I mean, if you're going in to get you something that you want to serve at a party,
Knob Creek,
Knob Creek,
yeah,
okay,
that's my go-to. Some everyday, Makers is good, Jack, Makers, Buffalo Trace. Just your daily mixers. Knob Creek's, if I'm gonna drink and eat, there's so many bourbons now. I go to the store now. I go to Chuck's now, and there's so many different bourbons I haven't even heard of.
I mean, you got these microbreweries or distilleries now.
Yeah.
I don't think they're called that, but craft distilleries.
And they're pretty pricey, around $50. So I haven't really pulled the plug on some of those yet. So I was simple go to my old standby, Knob Creek and On the Rocks, neat, can't beat it.
All right.
So.
Now, do you support? Do you root for Navy when they play in football?
No, not really. It's funny because
WKU all the way, right?
Western all the way. So Navy games, it's different. If you're enlisted, it's a little bit different. So you don't get that same camaraderie as you would if you went to Annapolis or a naval guy.
Right,
but,
right.
We're so like, well, whatever,
Yeah, go Tops.
Go Tops. That's it.
Navy did play here a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think the Tops beat them one year.
Yeah,
I was working in D.C. With a defense contractor up there, and a lot of my guys were naval graduates, and we were talking crap back and forth, and Western beat them.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Well, have I left anything out?
It's been great. I appreciate coming on board. Talk about the military, my background. I'm proud I did it. I loved it while I was doing it. And just glad to be back in Bowling Green. I miss Bowling Green so much, and it's even just being here every day. It's just the community here is great.
I mean, you've seen a lot of being from here. You've seen the growth that's happened here, and then being away for a few years. I'm sure every time you came home, you're like, "Holy cow, what's going on here?"
Been away for almost 9 years, and just coming back periodically. It's like, well, where'd that come from? Where does this come from now? And seeing like Lover's Lane and just how everything's growing out. Mm-hmm. Changes in Smiths Grove from where I'm from. Growing up in Smiths Grove was just
stop at Buc-ee's now.
It was old farm town. We had 1,000 people. Less than that now. You got Buc-ee's. season and more stuff coming on. So
yeah, you think about it this way: people from all over the U.S. know where Smiths Grove is.
Exactly,
now.
They put us on the map.
Anyhow, well, hey, Robert, thanks for being on the DeCesare Group Podcast.
Hey, I appreciate it, Jim. It's been awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much to Robert Evans, owner of Fleet Feet in Bowling Green, for being on the DeCesare Group Podcast. And thank you for listening. And make sure you follow the DeCesare Group across all of our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X. The DeCesare Group Podcast is produced by the DeCesare Group, a public relations and consulting firm based in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Our engineer, Mr. Fleet Feet himself, Justin DeCesare, is producing this program with content contributions from Brooke Mattingly and Amy DeCesare. I'm Jim DeCesare, and join us again next time for the DeCesare Group Podcast.